Hello ladies and gentlemen, Spirit of the Law here. Welcome to episode 2 of my Road to 1800 series. You can see I'm currently 1767 and I'm going to be playing a 1 vs 1 random land map with mere civilizations, and we both happen to get Goths. Now I do enjoy playing as the Goths. They're a little bit different because they don't have any stone walls or anything, and if we take a look at their bonuses here, pretty much everything has to do with infantry in one way or another. And so they have the cheaper infantry starting in Feudal Age, which of course doesn't help your Dark Age rush, but everything after that, if you want to go infantry, they got your back for that. As well, the infantry has extra attack against buildings, and with the boar and the +5 attack, it doesn't really matter. I've looked at that in the Civ overview. It doesn't really have much effect. And just looking at the rest of it, it's all about getting infantry out fast, so you end up with cheap, fast infantry from kind of the Castle Age onward, and that's a pretty common strategy that I've seen with them and that I use with them, is to just get your economy up and build up as quickly as possible, which you have to be careful not to advance too quickly, but kind of don't get stuck in the Feudal Age, I guess is kind of my mentality, and to try to get up to castle, boom a little bit, and then use all those cheaper units to throw at your opponent, which of course, being a mere civilization, I would think is kind of his strategy as well. And we're both trying not to get locked in the Feudal Age, I guess is what I want to say. So probably not going for archers or for scouts or anything like that, and especially because I'm having trouble finding my extra sheep. And I wasn't even totally sure what map this was. I was thinking it might be Scandinavia, but I did have the berries there. So I was even thinking this might be a map where I don't even end up getting my sheep, because you're supposed to have 8 sheep around your base, but some different maps have different numbers. And so I double check, and it's Ghost Lake. And I'm not actually sure about Ghost Lake. There's a couple of examples of randomly generated Ghost Lake maps, and it has that giant ice sheet in the middle, and there's no fishing on it, which is something that's worth doing at the beginning of the game on a random map. If you're not sure if there's going to be fishing or not, just double check at least the name of the map if you know the different map names, and because if you're on Continental, for example, then you have to know that you're going to go in and do the fishing, because it's a really big boost your economy. But none of that in this, and in fact I'm going to have a big food shortage here pretty soon if I don't find another sheep. So I'm going to have to go lure that boar. I was probably going to do that anyway, but I definitely need to get that boar in because I can't find any sheep and they're on the very last one. And this is kind of putting a Dark Age rush out of my mind at the moment, since I'm probably going to be struggling to get food to go up to the next stage. I'm probably going to have to put some extra villagers on wood in order to build farms if I can't find those sheep pretty soon, or maybe I don't have them at all. Although, spoiler alert, I do actually have them, and they're on the map, they're just tough to find. You can see there that the Goth bonus actually did help a little bit with the attack, so, you know, I say it's useless, but it's not quite useless, because they killed that boar a lot faster and made sure that it was right under the town center, because of course they get +5 attack against the boar. Just looking around, kind of scouting out my map a bit, it looks like I have excuse me, quite a bit of gold out in the front, and as well as that forward boar, although that's not going to be an issue. But the forward gold could be an issue, and not finding your sheep is definitely an issue, and that's definitely on my mind at the moment. And I have to make sure that the next boar comes in just at the right time. And of course, there's a sheep, so I feel a lot better now. And a Dark Age rush could actually be back on the table, but I'm not as comfortable doing those early rushes. And some people do at this level, like the mid-1700s. I've been rushed a couple of times, but it's not totally necessary, I think, as long as you do apply some pressure, and especially if you wall up, which is obviously a bit tougher for the Goths. And I'm having a little bit of a sloppy Dark Age here too, like sending that villager in the wrong direction, and just a couple of like garrisoning and things, just a little bit sloppy. And so that's one thing I could pick up, and I haven't really been practicing in between the last one and this one, so kind of a little bit rusty, and I gotta make sure that I'm doing a couple of these in a row like I was last time, so that, you know, your first game's kind of a warm-up, and then, you know, a little bit sharper for the later games, because I do feel like I could be a little bit sharper in this game up to this point. But everything seems to be going okay, so I have all my berries. I think 4 on berries is usually good. Sometimes I go 5, and sometimes I go 3 on wood, sometimes I go 4. I don't really have like a set build order. And I find some sheep, and here's one thing about snow maps, is I can actually see that sheep was walking, and I can see the direction that sheep was walking. So I know he found some extra sheep that were just on the map, and he's sending them back to his town. So I actually now know where his town is. It's down in the bottom left-hand corner there, because I can see the direction that the sheep are walking in. So I'm going to head straight there, which is a nice little extra bit of information you can get from snow maps that you can't get on the traditional grass maps. And I felt pretty clever for figuring that out, although I'm sure other people have noticed that, and I don't think it really affected too much in this game. But those little things that you start to notice just by playing the game quite a bit can be handy. So now I know where he is, and I can scout out his base a bit. And I did end up with all my sheep, so I'm feeling not too bad at the moment. And in terms of like strategy right now, I'm kind of thinking, kind of getting caught in between. Like, I don't really want to do feudal aggression. I don't want to get stuck in the feudal age, making feudal units and not being able to advance, and he gets the castle age first and we'll start putting out longswordsmen or anything like that. That's what I don't want. So kind of thinking maybe a fast-ish castle. So going a little bit faster than I traditionally would for a fast castle. So I don't hit the castle age as strong as I would as if I went up with 30 or 31 villagers. But fast enough that if he did do some feudal aggression, I wouldn't get stuck in the feudal age, because that's my thing. I just don't want to get stuck there. I want to make sure I'm advancing through the ages and kind of ready to handle whatever he's doing. And I do have to scout him out a little bit though and see what he's doing, if he's going to have a drush, for example, and if I'm going to have to wall up here quickly and get kind of a defensively set up city. Because of course I do have that problem with not having palisade walls as well. So going up with 25 villagers here, and maybe catch a scout, but he seems to be... Didn't have it go right under my town center, so that's, yeah, just kind of wasting my time right there shooting at it. So I do know that he's found me. I did find him a little bit earlier, but I had kind of the sheep tip me off about the direction they were heading. So I'm going to get my barracks up before I hit the next stage. I'm not sure I actually totally have to do that unless I'm thinking about putting down a military building, and I think at this point... Ooh, I actually can't remember anymore. This is a couple days ago I did this. I can't remember if I ended up putting down a stable right away, or if I just went straight fast castle. I think probably straight fast castle at this point. And I do find this villager out here, but I don't want to engage her quite yet, because of course I'm still Dark Age, so I don't have the attack bonus on the scout. You get a +2 attack on your scout when you go feudal. So if that was a feudal age, I would absolutely go after that villager. But right now I think she'd be able to take me down. So I'm just going to wait a couple seconds and kind of keep an eye on her and maybe pick her off. Although I'm a little curious what she's doing out there, so I'm going to keep an eye on that and see if she's trying to forward build something. And decides just to put down a house, which is kind of weird. I didn't think he would send her all the way up there to build a house. And then I decided either he's trying to connect that all with a wall, or maybe he was going to do something and then saw my scout cavalry there. And I'm sure I put down a market and not quite hitting with enough wood to put down a blacksmith, but I should be doing that. And not sure if I should be getting those upgrades, but I do decide I am going to go for a fast castle and just go straight through to castle age, because I'm just about there in terms of food. And yeah, so I put down, because of course the blacksmith is a little bit cheaper. And I'm just going to get some walls up and try to find something for all these guys to be doing. I feel like I don't need as much food at the moment, but yeah, kind of changed my mind and put them back on farms. Probably should have put them on wood, because those extra sheep that I did find across the map and I sent in, I ended up using those sheep, which actually delayed me sending food villagers over onto wood, which could bite me a little bit. And I also end up skipping loom because I didn't pick it up here, and I'm just going straight up to the castle age. That's pretty dangerous. That's a bad habit I have of not getting loom, and it's about to not pay off here, because his scout he's of course in feudal, so his scout gets the bonus, and I have an unloomed villager out there that is easy pickings, unfortunately. So I lose a villager by not getting loom. So lesson learned, I should really get loom. And I seem to learn that lesson every game and still haven't, I don't know, totally internalized that. So now I'm heading up, and I'm going to get those upgrades when I can. And of course he's trapped my scout, and so I try to fight my way out, and I do end up killing the one villager, and I do end up getting that scout out of there. It didn't look like he'd be able to get out of there, but he did get out of there, which was good. And so actually we ended up killing one of each other's villagers, so that ended up being okay. And I gotta finish up that wall, send that other villager. Of course I still don't have loom, because I headed straight up to the castle age, and so I'm just kind of hoping his scout isn't there. Usually people keep their scout moving and they won't hang out just in one spot. And Yeah, I better get that upgrade. And of course his scout is there, and he's got the hill advantage. And I did make a spear, but I didn't put the spear where it probably should have been. So, not well played there. I ended up losing 2 villagers because I didn't get loom. Oh, well, one of them I might have lost anyway, but I definitely lost at least 1 villager there by not having loom. So, pretty sloppy. I don't know if you can tell, but this is a pretty sloppy game for me. Not too much is going perfect in this game, like, you know, finding sheep and just kind of where the different villagers are going and moving villagers to the resources I need. So I'm about to hit castle. Unfortunately, I only have 250 wood, which is way too low to hit castle. And so I can't even, I could put up 1 more town center, I couldn't have put down 2, so I'd end up just going with the stable. I'm just going to make some knights, and we're going to send them over there to kind of keep an eye on him. And I did notice he was putting that villager forward, and now that I think about it, if I thought about it in the game, I probably would have sent something over there to double check on that house and see what was happening there with that villager. But yeah, so I'm going to go up with some knights, and we're going to throw the knights in there. I do know he hasn't stone-walled, so of course knights will be good, and I am able to get a town center now, and unfortunately I didn't plan out so well where that mining camp was going to go, and it ended up being a place that I would obviously want a town center. So ended up having to delete the mining camp. Not ideal, and just walling up, not sure about there, but I just want to really be safe and make sure that he doesn't sneak in anywhere. So yeah, I'm going to be making the knights here, and I don't really have a total follow-up plan to that afterwards, and I do notice that he's up to castle age now, which probably means that he went up with a few more villagers, so that's probably good for his economy. And I know that I'm probably a little bit behind in the economy sense, so I want to make sure I get an attack in here pretty quick with the knights. And running very low on all resources, it feels like, which I guess theoretically is good, but right now there's a lot of things I want to get. I finally get loom. Good. Better late than never, I guess. Although I kind of feel like the damage has been done there in terms of the loom. Looking back on it, I don't think I should have built this second stable. I don't think I need 2 stables here. I'm not going to go enough into knights. I don't have enough on gold. My economy's not really set up for constant knight production. So I'm just sending this over. This is just kind of testing the waters, maybe forcing him into making some spears, which is going to be a very useless unit later in the game. And so if I can send even 3 knights and he overreacts and he makes 10 spears because he's afraid I'm going to go knights, I can then just transition into something else, and he now has an army that isn't going to hold up to what I'm going to be making 10 minutes from now or 5 minutes from now. And I'm trying to get that upgrade, but I'm still not totally sure how many knights I'm making, and it's going to be hard for me to sustain production. I have to make sure I'm booming. I don't, like I said, I don't want to get stuck at any age. I want to get up to the Imperial Age and kind of boom here. Although I do hit his wood line, and he had gone all of them on that, and this is a view of his entire base. He is putting down a monastery, and I was able to get all of his villagers to garrison, which was nice. And I'm leaving, you notice at the bottom there, I leave a knight around the wood line, and that's just so he can't send those villagers back and kind of sneak in behind my other knights. And I can tell this is catching him off guard right now. He doesn't really know this was coming in, which I'm a little surprised about, although I guess I wouldn't really have anything to defend a night rush either. But it just seems like by 21 minutes, without any aggression, you could probably expect something to come in. And I really like his response of going with the monastery. And the spearmen, my knights can handle. And I'm certainly keeping his villagers off wood at the moment for an extended period. But the monastery is really good because monks are so strong against knights, because not only do you take one of their units, but you give yourself a unit that you can now go and raid your opponent with. And I'm just going to get them out of there. I know the monks are going to be coming pretty soon, and he's got a lot of spears, so probably losing more than I should have. And now that I hear the monk, I'm definitely not going to go knights, so I'm just going to cancel any knights that I had coming. And that's why I say I didn't really need 2 stables. That's probably a bad call. Yeah, had I done that one over, I just would have gone 1 and gotten another town center out a little bit earlier, since my plan is definitely right now to boom. And since he advanced slower than me, I know that he probably went up with more villagers. His economy is probably a little stronger than mine heading into Castle Age, and my hope is just with a few knights to kind of balance that out. But of course I didn't need the 2 different ones, and now I have 2 knights just kind of hang around. I have them attacking that house I found out in the middle of nowhere, but he's going to send the monk over there, so I have to get out of there. And I'm just going to send them off to do a little bit of exploring. I'm going to change my mind about that in a minute. And yeah, I was going to say I'd like to put them on the split formation because they get more line of sight as they're moving, but I'm actually going to end up just setting them in different directions to just go explore the bottom of the map. Haven't really found too many other gold sources yet, and that is one thing I'm going to want to keep an eye on, is especially because my gold is so forward. It's going to be tough to get that one over to the left, so my thought is it'd be nice to find just some other ones, like some sneaky gold on the side of the map that I can go send a bunch of villagers over to. And I'm feeling okay at this point. I do realize that I'm going to need some stone. Of course, Goths do need to get up a castle, and in order to get their unique unit, which is definitely something that they want to do, and they have some pretty good things from there. And I think pretty soon, yeah, I'm just going to keep exploring a little bit. And at some point here, I'm going to make a couple of scouts as well, which is something I've just been doing lately, is making scouts and setting them around the map. And I have a notification, and oh snap, he's got a castle. And that's just not a castle. If we look back, he was actually, this is back at 19 minutes when I'm first setting my knights over, he had 6 on stone and sent 5 of them forward. So that's where this castle came from. I had no idea this was happening, and I saw he had Huskarls, and that's big. I don't have stone walls. He's already got a castle on top of my forward gold, pretty close to the front of my base, and he's already got Huskarls, and I see them walk right through a gap that's in my wall. So this is pretty much as bad as it can get right now for a Goth player, to be raided by an extremely good raiding unit, you know, the Huskarl. I also don't have a castle. I'm kind of booming right now. I don't have any units, so I gotta put up some barracks pretty quick. And just trying to, this is what I should have already had, is houses everywhere. And of course he's going to sneak right through there, and that's pretty bad. I mean, the Huskarls are not impervious to arrow fire at this point. I think they have 6 pierce armor, maybe 7 if he's upgraded them. So yeah, 7 you can see there. So they, not quite impervious, but town center fire isn't really going to deter them, and they're going to take a lot of my guys out. They're heading right for the stone ones. So I got to pull that back, which means that's going to delay other town centers and certainly my castle a lot more. And I'm just tacking into some swordsman units, which are a good counter to Huskarls, because Huskarls have no pierce armor. And I do have to get those upgrades though, which is just slowing me down even more, and I wasn't feeling like I really had a lot of resources anyway. So I ended up even getting a couple knights. Knights aren't the best against Huskarls, but you know, I just had those 2 stables, so may as well use them. And so he keeps coming back to those stone, and I even, with the houses, block my own thing, so I have to destroy the stone. So this is really sloppy, and I've got to get that walled up. And he still has that castle in front, and then I see he's got another castle coming up on my forward gold. So I had 3 gold forward. He's about to have a castle on 2 of them, and I don't know of any other gold sources on the map. So this is obviously an immediate threat. I don't really have anything that can deal with that. I would like to get some rams out, or even better, advance the Imperial Age and get a trebuchet out. And I do catch a couple villagers, but I didn't notice that castle in time to send them out. And the time to deal with that castle was when he was first putting it down, and it's not now. So I'm going to try to take out those villagers. He's even putting a siege workshop. This is really aggressive. And at the same time, he's still got those Huskarls in the back of my base. So I've got to get some stone. I need to save stone really bad, because right now I'm thinking I'd like to get up a defensive castle here somewhere. Although even castles aren't the best against Huskarls, it would at least let me make some of my own and at least kind of start formulating a response to this. So another thing I could be going is rams, like I said, but again, it's pretty gold heavy, and he already has Huskarls. Like, he has the numbers advantage on me anyway, so I can't necessarily control those units and make sure they're defended. And right now my men-at-arms aren't going to be that great against the Huskarls. I've got to get them up to long swordsmen whenever I can. So here I'm going to do that tech, although unfortunately this is all just cutting into my Imperial advance time, because I need a lot of gold for that, and all of my gold is kind of under control by him at the moment. I kind of had 1 spare gold source but out in the front there, but he's got a castle right beside it. So he's even raiding here. I have to get this town center up and at least save some of these villagers, just a couple of them. And I throw the scout away, which was probably a bad idea. He should probably be looking around for gold. I had him going around, and I still hadn't found any other gold sources at the top or the bottom of the map. And I really needed that scout in order to find those gold sources. So I'm going to have to build another scout at some point here when I'm able to, and I can kind of hold this off and I'm not under as much pressure. Although now I have enough long swordsmen together that I know he can't send in the units and take me out right now. If he were to send rams, for example, or even mangonels, I could attack them with those, and then of course if he sent the Huskarls, I could probably fight them off for the moment, but this is not looking good. I do need a gold source. I'm kind of looking around for places I think that gold might be, but I'm really relying on that one spot, and I do know that he has a siege workshop. I can hear the mangonel. I know he's got at least one mangonel out there, under the protection of the castle, of course. And so this is tough, because that's my main gold spot. And so we're going to try to take out the mangonels. Unfortunately, that castle, it's minimum range. I do know he probably doesn't have hoardings, or, yeah, not hoardings, what's the other one? Murder holes. Yeah, so it doesn't have murder holes, so we can't attack the base of it. But I guess I'm trying to take advantage of that, is what I'm trying to say. So I have the scout here, and I know that he probably won't be able to attack him there. But, you know, one scout isn't going to do very much here. And I do have these long swords, but I'm thinking about setting them forward, but they would just die to the castles, especially because he's got 2 of them, so I can't attack the base of them. So that was a really good call on his part to notice that both of my golds were forward, and he had a little hill there to attack me on, so to put down not just one, but to have the foresight to get stone to make 2 castles beside each other. I really do need siege. It kind of needs to be in the Imperial Age to take that out, unless I'm making a bunch of rams right now, which unfortunately is easy to counter with Huskarls as well. So I'm tough. I'm in a tough spot, and I've just lost all those stone guys, because he still has that group of Huskarls doing a really good job attacking one place and then running back into the Fog of War and then coming in attacking somewhere else. But I'm going to get those rams cleaned up, which does give me back my front gold pile, and then I see a couple more Huskarls coming in. But I think I can take this fight, but that stream just kept getting bigger and bigger. So I'd like to take this fight. And I know it's under the castle, but I'd still like to take this fight, and I'd like to clean up his Huskarls if I can. I'm kind of caught right now between, should I be trying to go up to the Imperial Age? Because even if I get to the Imperial Age, I still need enough stone for a castle. Like, I have to put a castle out if I want a trebuchet, or if I want to get the text that I really need as Goths. And unfortunately, I don't have any gold, so I have to keep these villagers out there, and he's going to notice that, so I have to hide them again. His Huskarls, like I said, not impervious to arrows yet, but a mass that size might be able to take out, and certainly a damaged town center like that. So I need a really good mangonel shot here. And I got a couple shots, and do hit a couple, and this is going to be a good one, but he does like this split on me. I don't know if he meant to do that, because that was a nifty split. So taking out that mangonel, one of those shots would have been pretty good on those units, but now he still has a bunch of those. I'm just kind of desperate at this point to make units to fight this off, but at the same time I really need gold to go up to the next age, and his economy hasn't even been touched at this point since the Night Rush, of course. And so I'm kind of keeping this town center up front alive, but I'm not even queuing up villagers anymore as far as I can see, and I'm just kind of trying to micro this to make some more long swordsmen to fight them off, but it's kind of a losing fight at this point, because I just don't have the resources to go up or to really change this in any way. So I end up calling the GG, and really well played by him. Those castles were deadly on top of the gold. He really picked the perfect spot to put those down, and I was doing a little bit too much booming. I think I should have done a little bit more looking around the map and keeping an idea of what was going on, and unfortunately all the other golds were just outside of where I could see and where I'd scouted. And he was also sending some cavalry archers that would have been really good for raiding and kind of that hit and run thing that he was doing. He only had 2 town centers, which I thought was interesting, and it almost seems like I over-boomed without going into military, and that really ended up biting me this time. And lots of farms, and he kind of walled up a little bit, but we already knew about that. Really well played by him overall, and good game to him, and so my Elo rating is now down to 1751, but it's okay, there's going to be a couple of bumps on the road. I did end up collecting more food and wood, and I think that's because I did more booming in the Castle Age, and so there's all those different things. By the end, with all its villagers, he was definitely going to be beating me to Imperial Age. Thinking about where that game went wrong, I think there were a lot of mistakes that I made when I hit Castle Age, and part of it is I didn't have an economy getting towards getting the town centers out, and I just made that worse by going with the double stables and kind of delaying all that. Obviously having not double checking the palisade walls was not the best and didn't really have a well set up town to defend, which I really needed if I was going to try to do that whole booming big economy thing. As well, I should have thought of going for the stone earlier like he did, and he obviously noticed and I didn't that all of my gold was forward, and so controlling that was really key to me staying in the game, and he did a really good job targeting that and cutting me off from that. So props to him. I do think it's funny though that I came kind of close to finding those forward villagers at one point, and just having a little bit more awareness and keeping track of what was happening in front of my town center, and may have actually caught them out, which really could have made this game go either way and be a little bit more interesting getting to the late game. I think compounding all the other stuff for me though was I was pretty indecisive about what my strategy was going to be. Was I fast castling, or was I trying to go up a little bit faster? Was I going for knights, or was I going to try to put down more town centers? Was I going to be buying stone in order to get a castle up, or was I going to be trying to go to Imperial Age and selling stone? I kind of went back and forth on a lot of those, and I think a lot of that cost me, on top of obviously the little stuff like not getting loom and not keeping an eye on queuing the villagers as much. So it seemed like there was a lot that I could take away from that, and a lot of things that I realized I did wrong, but at the same time he did a great job and I don't want to take anything away from him, and he really capitalized on the map, and he had a good economy and kept the pressure on, kept units coming in and out of the fog of war, and always keeping everything on me. I'm looking for a little bit of redemption, I guess, on episode 3. I didn't feel like I really brought it today and had my best stuff, so hopefully I'm going to bring it a little bit more, and I might even start looking into build orders and stuff just to tighten up my game a little bit, as well as maybe practicing a few things like boar lures. So keep an eye out for episode 3, which should be coming out soon, and as always, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time.